So in this video, I will be talking about pre-money valuation and post-money valuation. There will be numbers, there will be some maths involved into it, but don't get intimidated. It is quite simple maths, plus, minus, multiplication and division. And I will be trying to simplify it as much as possible so that you understand it into detail. So let's start with pre-money valuation and post-money valuation. It sounds a bit complicated, but it is not. It is quite simple. I know the funding rounds bring with them a whole new vocabulary and terms that business founders need to get familiar with. At times, often in a hurry. You will probably hear the term pre-money and post-money many times during VC investment rounds. Whether it be your term sheet, capitalization table, or even during negotiations between the startup and its potential investors. As a founder, these terms are central to your bottom line. So you should understand what they mean, what they represent, and how they impact the financing of your company. First up, why do you need to know about these terms? Valuation will be a big negotiation point between you and your VC investor. Valuation discussions are speculative and will be driven by market forces. Entrepreneurs and investors usually have differing estimates of valuations. Existing shareholders want a high valuation, so they suffer less dilution after the investment round. Investors prefer a low valuation, so they can maximize the ownership percentage they receive for their investment. Valuation directly impact the percentage of the company which existing shareholders will retain and what percentage an investor will receive for that investment. Think carefully about what you mean when you use the term pre-money and post-money and how each phrase may support a particular number. So what is the difference between pre-money and post-money? Both are valuation measures of company, but they differ in the timing of the valuation. Pre-money is the valuation of your business prior to an investment round. Post-money is the value of your business after an investment round. Post-money is simpler for investors, but pre-money valuations are commonly used. So in a nutshell, post-money equal to pre-money plus money received during the investment round. Why are post-money valuations simpler? Because the valuation of the business is fixed, whereas in pre-money scenario, the value of the business can float with variables like, for example, ESOP expansion, debt to equity conversion, and pro rata participation rights. Convertible, that is convertible loan notes, safe notes, and KISS are becoming more common for seed investment. And the face value of the investments are added to the post-money valuation at the time of investment. Here's an example to make it easy for you to understand. Let's say you and your co-founder incorporated a company. The company issues 1 million shares, which is equally divided 50% each between both of you. The company is successful and now you need additional capital. An investor offers you $250,000 for shares in the company on a valuation of $1 million. The ownership percentage of the founders and the investor will depend on whether this 1 million valuation is pre-money or post-money. If the $1 million valuation is a pre-money valuation, the company is valued at 1 million before the investment, and after the investment, it will be valued at $1.25 million. But if it is a post-money valuation, the $1 million valuation includes the $250K investment. In this example, the difference in the founder's ownership is only 5%, that is 2.5% per founder. But this could represent a vast sum if the company continues to be successful and gets to the point of an IPO. Just go through this example. Now let's see how does pre-money valuation influence the investment round. The price per share, what we call PPS, that an investor will pay for shares in your company is determined using the following formula. PPS equal to pre-money valuation divided by fully diluted capitalization. The PPS and pre-money valuation are directly proportional. That is, as one goes up, the other also goes up. So the greater the pre-money valuation, the more an investor will pay for each share. But the investor will receive less shares for the same investment amount. Here's an example again. Continuing the above example of $1 million pre-money valuation, let's say the founders together hold 1 million shares, that is 500K shares each. You will need to issue some shares to the investor before you receive the investment funds. The value of the shares in your company was 1.25 million divided by 1 million, which is $1.25 per share. Upon receiving the investment funds, your company will issue new shares to the investor. The number of shares will be investment amount divided by pre-money PPS. And in this particular scenario, for the 250K investment, The investor will receive $250K divided by $1.25. That will be 200K shares. The company now has 1.2 million shares with the founders owning 1 million shares or 83.33% of the company and the new investor holding 200K shares or 16.66% of the company. Now if things continue to go well, then before long you will need more capital. A new investors want to invest $750K at a post-money valuation of $2.5 million, which implies a pre-money valuation of $1.75 million. Using the calculation above, the PPS is now $1.46. That is 1.75 million divided by 1.2 million before the investment. And the company will issue 513,699 new shares to the new investor. That is 750K divided by 1.46. After the investment, the company will have 1,713,699 shares, of which the founders continue to have 1 million shares. That now represent 58.35% of the company's shares. Each capital raise reduces the founders' ownership. That is, it dilutes their ownership. But the PPS is increasing each time. Investors from earlier rounds will also experience dilution with each subsequent funding round. They can lessen the amount of dilution by participating in each of those rounds. Pre-money valuation and dilution of your ownership are key concerns as a founder. But remember, owning 10% of a big pizza may be lucrative than owning 25% of a small pizza. And often you can't build a big pizza without investors. Now let's see why are post-money valuations so rare. Short answer, sales psychology. Anchoring is a tactic often used in marketing. Consumers focus on the lower number, even if the result is the same. For example, compare a hotel rate quoted as $200 per night plus 15% taxes plus 5% service fee and 20% per night government fee with another quoted as $260 per night. The first rate with the lower number seems more appealing, but the total is the same as the second, all exclusive rate. If you are trying to negotiate a 5 million Series A round at 10 million pre-money valuation or 15 million post-money valuation, the pre-money number may seem more appealing for the investor to take back to their partners. Using the pre-money valuation as the anchor lets the post-money valuation float, and the founders may be able to negotiate more favorable terms as part of the investment round. A lot of founders ask that they are at a pre-revenue stage, why they even need to know pre-money valuation and post-money valuation. Well, the valuation approach is particularly important when you have a good idea but few assets. It may not be possible to use accounting measures such as revenue, cash flow or EBITDA to assist with a valuation exercise, particularly in the case of startup which are in the pre-revenue stage. We suggest looking to the angel community, which has developed methods that are commonly used by early stage startups to determine valuation. Angel investors will probably recommend using a blend of methods rather than relying on just one. Where possible, find out what startups with pre-money valuation similar to your startup have completed investment round. The another question which comes to founders' mind that valuations cost money. Do they really need one? We have seen some founders opting to ignore any form of valuation process and simply place a pre-money valuation on their company after deciding how much of the company they are willingly to give up in exchange of the investment they need. The downside to this approach is you offer an unrealistic valuation and your potential investors think you are unprepared. Remember that investors will also be considering other factors relating to your company, like for example, your target market, sustainable competitive advantage over competitors, scalability, etc.